Every physical item in the world, every tangible object you can touch, has been designed by someone. The tables, chairs, laptops, fridges, speakers, and glasses in your lives have undergone meticulous design processes to go from an idea in someone's head to being produced in the thousands and sometimes millions. But apart from appearing in iPhone commercials to advertise unibody aluminium chassis, what do industrial designers actually do? I'm sure you all have your own answers to the question, and I'd love to hear them in the comments. Maybe you can type out your gut reaction now before the rest of the video, and then check if your mindset has changed by the end. I've previously spoken about the Double Diamond framework on this channel, starting with a vague problem point and researching everything possible about a specific subject before collating and synthesizing those findings into a clear problem definition. Only at this point do you start to iterate solutions, generating as many ideas as possible through sketching, CAD modeling, and prototyping to solve the problem. Then it becomes time to actually deliver, and work starts for manufacturing and implementation. It's clear here that designing is only 50% of the equation, and there's so much more work to ensure you're designing something helpful and solving the right problem. However, in this video, I'm not talking about day-to-day tasks like sketching or CAD modeling. Those things are a means to an end. How we achieve design. Today, I'm talking about what those tasks enable us to achieve and our overarching goal, what we do. Industrial design often gets overlooked in a digital world full of user experience and user interface design. From a social point of view, it's often hard to explain to our non-designer friends what we do. From a business point of view, it's difficult to prove a return on investment, or ROI, when development timelines can often last years. Products regularly launch 18 to 24 months after the initial design is conceived, and every department that has a role in that process claims that they were the main reason that a product succeeds. Whereas ROI for digital apps can be as apparent as this app layout has increased sales by 12.5%, physical product design success is less quantifiable. But that doesn't mean industrial design is any less important. I actually feel like it's more critical to get things right in physical form, as an app can continuously be updated with new features. However, once an object has been put into production, it's difficult and expensive to go back and change a mold or update the factory tooling. Everything has to be considered early on and upfront, from potential manufacturing constraints to existing trademarks and safety legislation across multiple countries. Whether digital or physical, design has the power to influence emotions. And being able to harness emotions is a powerful design tool. Think about Game Boy and the nostalgia that comes with transparent plastic gadgets, and how companies like Nothing are using that clear plastic to generate a sense of history and pedigree, even though they're brand new to hardware. Industrial design is part of a long chain of processes to get a product to market, and we sit pretty early on in the production cycle. A typical production cycle includes market research and business proposition, concept design, iterations and refinement, engineering, design for manufacture, marketing, commerce, retail, and sales. From concept to final production, a great designer must span most, if not all, of these skills. We need to understand the business potential and suggest product formats and features that are commercially viable. We need to understand manufacturing processes to only offer manufacturable solutions. Consider the user experience throughout the entire product journey, from purchase through to recycling, and design to accommodate different body types with varying levels of dexterity. Usability is crucial, and design is essential for ease of use. As designers, we can often decide to add functionality or remove or consolidate complex features. That's all really important, but if someone doesn't want a product, they're not going to use it. It's as simple as that. Studies show why people don't use medical products even if they benefit their health. An innate want needs to be there, even if it's subconscious. So a good designer keeps all of this in mind when developing concepts. But most importantly, we must find the right character for the product. Imagine a brief comes in from a client. They're looking to make a new children's toy, a wearable hand puppet. It must have a mouth and use the company's brand colour, green. An engineer might look at this brief and think, great, we can contact a factory that makes socks and ask them to tweak the knit pattern to match a child's hand and arm, and then we can sew on some googly eyes. Then we can just ask them what shades of green they have in stock. Very pragmatic. That fits the brief. Perfect. But will it sell? Probably not. A designer might take this brief and consider what will make people want it. What emotional connections can we generate with this character? Should the puppet be joyful, optimistic, and playful? Well, with some added foam and closely matched colour swatches, we can turn the sock puppet into Kermit merchandise. What if we want the puppet to be wise, reassuring, and mysterious? Well, we can sculpt some wrinkles, add some wispy white hair and a brown robe, and you've got yourself a Yoda. Both designs fit the brief. It has a mouth, it is green. But each product now provides a distinctive emotional connection with a few simple design changes. By carefully considering the cultural connotations of different design elements, we can ensure we hit the mark without blindly stumbling on a final solution. How do we know that Kermit is joyful and optimistic? Because we've seen the show. How do we know that Yoda is wise and mysterious? Because we've watched the movie. In Hollywood, art directors strive to create exciting props that tell the universe's narrative by either progressing the story or sitting cohesively within their surroundings. Every gadget and sword gets given a backstory, how it got there and where it's been. A Star Wars prop would look really out of place in any other film because the design of each piece speaks to the industrial, used future aesthetic of that universe. Likewise, something from Game of Thrones would look wrong in Star Wars. The same is valid for design in the real world as well. Every demographic and market worldwide is used to a style specific to that area, and everyone has an individual life experience that builds connotations about the world around them. This mental zeitgeist is what designers need to maneuver through to create a new design that fits neatly within the target demographic, whilst offering something new and exciting. Customers expect particular objects to look rugged, homely, inviting, or sporty. Any combination of these adjectives can create the correct emotional response. Why does the iPhone use the polished stainless steel chassis? The mirrored surface elevates the material and gives it a jewel-like quality. It's opulent and speaks to traditional jewelry connotations. On the flip side, look at the Red Magic 7, a phone with all sorts of panels, split lines, and color breaks on the back. Why? To reference design cues from the PC gaming world and solidify the reputation that it's designed for gaming. Both phones cater to different markets, and in this case, it's pretty clear cut, but often it's the nuances of a project that really make all the difference. Products that don't meet these expectations just don't land, and sometimes the vibe is just off. An object has to look like its function and be easily understood. I've spoken about it before, but the Dyson Zone is wrong. The overly technical, over-designed visual language is scary and off-putting. It's not reassuring or comforting in any way, and it's a far cry from any trends we're seeing in wearable tech across the rest of the sector. It's simply bad. So much so that when it first launched, everyone thought it was an April Fool's joke. Industrial design is about conjuring the correct emotional response by combining various personal and social cues based on what people have come to understand from their world. It's about threading the needle by understanding what's come before and defining the next step. Whether we're designing a product for a market that's already pretty saturated or developing a new product in a new category, industrial designers are defining the world's cultural zeitgeist. It's prop design for real life. In that sense, we can alter a customer's behavior through implied cultural connotations. By borrowing various design cues, mixing and matching design styles and creating something new, we ensure that people understand the function and get excited by seeing something unique. So absolutely, it's essential to get good at sketching and understand how to CAD model. But understanding the importance of design on a cultural scale is far more crucial. Elevating our craft and discussing our impact on people's lives goes above and beyond drawing an evocative image of a concept. We don't just colour shapes all day. We must unify our narrative as the industrial design profession and make our value known to our friends, families, and companies. If we fail to keep convincing people about the worth of design, no one else will, and a world that doesn't value design will end up full of ugly sock puppets in an awful green. Can you define the numerical return on investment on the decision between a radius or a sharp edge? Not really. But can you afford to miss the mark and accidentally design a Yoda when you should have made a Kermit? Definitely not.